Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a very interesting show set up for you. Oh, yeah, Florida State got left out of the college football playoff undefeated, and Sankey warned them, and he tried to keep it from happening a while back, but the ACC commissioner and the alliance wouldn't let it happen. They didn't want to expand early to the 12 teams, and now look what you got. The ACC is on the outside looking in with an undefeated team. What a mess. And by the way, I wanted to do a video on this right after they came out at like 12:15, but I couldn't because once again, I was stuck at work. I have to work on the weekends. It's just the way that it is.
Drink it up, big boss. All right, drink it up, gambler.
But anyway, I was able to get one done after work, so better late than never. And here's a statement from the ACC Commissioner, Jim Phillips, the guy that didn't want to go to a 12 team. And Andy Staples says, who you'll recall is one of the three people responsible for there not being a 12-team playoff this year. Phillips said it's unfathomable that Florida State, an undefeated Power 5, was left out of the college football playoff. Their exclusion calls into the question selection process and whether the committee's own guidelines were followed, including the significant importance of being an undefeated Power 5 conference. My heart breaks for the talented FSU athletes, etc. Florida State deserved better. College football deserved better, blah, 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 blah. And everybody's calling him out. Here, Jeff Fuller says he has his own commissioner and ACC president to blame. ACC, Big Ten, and Pac-12 voted against expanded college playoff. The three conferences joined an alliance last summer that gave them the ability to vote together on matters such as this. And pretty much everybody's calling him out for that. Now, I am a huge advocate for the 12-team playoff. I would have definitely gone for it this year and moved it up as quick as I could because it was only a matter of time before a team got totally screwed out of this. And that's now Florida State, who's 13-0, won every single game, including the conference championship. But because their quarterback got hurt, they used that as a reason why they weren't allowed to be in the top four, even though there are two other teams with one loss each, which was Texas and Alabama. Now, the reason I'm for a 12-team playoff is for obvious reasons. This is ridiculous. You cannot have an undefeated Power 5 team win their conference championship and not get in. That's not right.
That's not fair.
Don't raise your voice to me.
But here's the problem. It doesn't matter because we're still stuck at 4. There's always going to be the high risk that somebody gets creaked. With 12 teams, that's never going to happen. If you're somebody sitting at 13th or 14th, you've probably got 2 or 3 losses. You should have won more games.
Shut up!
If you're complaining and you're not in the top 12 and you're sitting at 13, you can complain all you want, and that's fine. But nobody's going to really care. But if you're undefeated and you're not getting in and there's 2 teams that have 1 loss each and they get in, that sucks for you. Now, I'm the first to tell you that if I was going to put the best 4 in, I would certainly have Georgia and Alabama in that 4. Probably Texas would be the other one. And I don't know if I'd put Michigan in there or not. You know, it's pretty clear with the sign stealing that it's not terribly legitimate what they did this year or the year before, whenever Connor Stallions was there. Because if they win this, and they could, it's probably going to get vacated. And for all you Michigan fans, you're going to freak out and go nuts. I don't blame you for this. It's not your fault that Connor Stallions was stealing signs or doing whatever the crap he was doing.
It's not your fault. I know. It's not your fault.
But it wasn't our fault as Tennessee fans what Jeremy Pruitt was doing when he was cheating. Now, granted, it was only $60,000 over like 2 years, which nowadays that's a backup punter. But granted, you know, he did break a rule or two, 181. But, you know, we paid for that. Every coach got fired. We had a cloud over us for 2 years, which really hurt our recruiting. 25 scholarships lost, $12 million fine, blah, 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 blah. And it's pretty much been cleaned up ever since then, and now we're on with Josh Heupel and everything's fine. But we had to go through 2 years of grief and paid a big penalty in multiple ways. And that's what Michigan's going to have to deal with. But if they win this, it's going to get vacated. I'm sorry, Michigan fans, it's going to get vacated. I see no way around it. But if I'm a Michigan fan, I say let them play. And if we win, I celebrate like it's 1999, and I don't care. And even if they do vacate it, they can't take the memories away. They can't take any of that away. And it's not like, you know, they may hand it to somebody else. So what? They didn't get to enjoy it. And that's really what sports is about anyway, is the experience of winning and losing, especially if it happens 3 years from now, because you know the NCAA, they are the slowest human beings on the planet. They will take a week for something that should take an hour. That's just the way it is. So there's no telling how long it'll take them to actually deal. Heck, Harbaugh might retire at Michigan before they get to him. Anyway, it's a big mess. I don't think they did a bad job based on the best teams. But like I said, I would have gone with Texas, Alabama, Georgia, and probably Washington. That's the 4 I would have gone with.
How dare you?
So anyway, and Greg Sankey, the guy that tried to talk him into the 12-team playoff, he said one of these things is not like the others. He says it's like Sesame Street. In other words, the SEC is the Mac Daddy and the rest of them are not.
Haven't you noticed? You gotta be a man to play in my league.
And he's pretty arrogant about it, and he's pretty much dead on. That's just a fact. You know, the SEC is where the best talent is and where the best teams are. There are some good teams out there. I'm not sitting here ripping on every conference. I'm just saying, you know, if you want to know where the best is, it's in the South and it's in the Southeastern Conference. It just is. And he likes calling it out. For the Florida State fans, it sucks for you. I completely understand that. You have every right to be ticked off. You have been cheated. I don't think there's any question about that. But they're going to go with what they think are the 4 best, and they're going to take the quarterback being out as part of it. And after watching that ball game against, Louisville, that was atrocious to watch. And that poor little freshman, you talking about a deer in headlights. Good grief. I mean, that was pitiful. And the backup quarterback that you got, he didn't look a whole lot better in the game before that. And they're going to take that into consideration. I mean, honestly, Florida State, if they would have played either Georgia or Alabama or Texas yesterday, it would have been absolutely brutal. They would have absolutely been run up and down the field multiple times. It would have been awful. So you had a great season. You got creaked. Had there been a 12-team playoff, none of this would be an issue. Whether you're 4th or 5th or whatever, you know, let's say you'd have been 5th. Okay, you didn't get the bye, but you get home court advantage in the next game. So we need a 12-team playoff. It should have already happened, but unfortunately it didn't. And that's a shame. And I know there's people out there that want to go back to the 2-team, or they just want the media to decide or whatever, or the coaches. Look, you got to play it out on the field. You play football, on the field, and what happens out there is what matters, not people's opinions.
Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it.
That's what stinks about this is based on a college football playoff opinion. It shouldn't be. It should be based on letting them play on the field. If we had 12 teams, that would have happened. And for the folks that don't like it, I get it. I know how you are, and I understand you not liking change and all that. That's very normal.
I'm a grumpy old man. I don't like everything the way it is now compared to the way it used to be.
And there are some things that I like that's tradition and all that, but this is not one of them. Let the teams play. And I'm especially for a 12-team playoff, being that we're the Tennessee Volunteers and we play Georgia and Alabama every year. It's really hard to beat both of those teams. If you beat one of them, you've done really well. So you're almost always going to have a loss if you're playing those 2 teams. And a 12-team playoff, you can have 2 losses and still get in. You might even be able to have 3 losses and still get in. So that's great for my Vols because we're such a dangerous team.
That's right. Nice, man. I am dangerous.
We will be one of the most difficult outs in a 12-team playoff every year with our offense because if you're not used to it and we've got the right quarterback and the right wide receivers, we're going to score our 40 points. It's just, can you outscore us? So I'm excited about the 12-team playoff next year. I expect to be in it. And for Florida State, you got left out, you got creaked, but Greg Sankey warned you and tried to get your commissioner to vote properly. He chose not to do that. He chose to form an alliance and vote against the SEC and the Big Ten. That's the choice you made, Phillips. That's the choice you made. You made your bed. Lie in it. Anyway, if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Lets me know to continue to cover all the college football, SEC, of course, my Vols. And if you've not subscribed, it's on your right, my left. Just hit that little button. I would appreciate it. And right over here is the most recent video YouTube think you'll enjoy. And we'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.